Hello viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel, English for Intermediate Classes. This is Deepak Kumar West, lecturer, Intermediate College, Chorasan. Now we proceed to the next paragraph of the lesson, Stories of Stolen Childhood, Lost Spring. The first story. I remember a story a man from UDP once told me. As a young boy, he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his school bag on the folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. He let me never lose, let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others, like the rag pickers in my neighborhood, remain shoeless. The writer narrates a story which was told to her by a man from UDP. UDP is a well known town in Karnataka. It's a beautiful place, a tourist place as well. The narrator from UDP says when he was a young boy, he would walk to his school. On the way, he would cross a temple where his father worked as a priest. He would stop at the temple and pray to God to bless him with a pair of shoes. So we can understand how poor they were. They their earning was not even that much to buy a pair of shoes at that time. After 30 years, the writer visited the town and the temple in Udupi. Now the place was nearly empty. It was desolate place. The temple was desolate, and the new priest lived in the backyard of that temple. And where the writer sees plastic chairs in red and white color, they were kept there, and a young boy who came running from school. He was wearing grey colored school uniform, socks and shoes. He had a bag hung on his shoulders. He threw it on the bed and ran away. The writer wants to say that the financial position of the priest at the temple had improved over the last 30 years. Now he could afford the shoes for his children. She was reminded. She reminded of another boy who got a pair of shoes. He prayed to the goddess that he may never lose the shoes that he had got. The goddess had granted his prayer as the boy never lost his footwear. This shows us that the underprivileged people value anything that they get because they have been longing for it and they have toiled for it. They have lived. They have worked hard for that thing. Next paragraph. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it, metaphorically. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it is no longer empty. In structures of mud with the roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage, and running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Food is more important for survival than an identity. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say, a group of women in tattered saris. When I ask them why they left their beautiful land of green fields and rivers, wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Children grow up in them, becoming partners in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rack picking. Through the years, it had acquired the proportion of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. But for a child, it is even more. The writer says she describes the area where these rag picker boys live. The name of that area is Simapuri, which is located on the outskirts of Delhi, and it was very different from the capital of our country. Means, in a way, actually, it is on the border of Delhi, and even then, it seems that it is miles and miles away from Delhi because there is a lot of difference in the infrastructure, in the economic condition of both the places. In 1971, when these rag pickers had migrated from Bangladesh, the area had been a wasteland, a barren land. Simapuri was still a wasteland, but now it was not empty as almost 10,000 rag pickers lived there in structures made of uh, mud, which are called hovels or shanties. They have roofs made of thin sheets of tin or plastic material like tarpaulin or some canvas or coarse cloth. There was no sewage, drainage, no running water facility in the Simapuri region. They lived in unhygienic conditions. No sanitation was there. It was a piece of wasteland where the garbage of the city was collected. Means where the garbage or waste of Delhi region, Delhi city was dumped in that region. And these people had started living there illegally. They were squatters. Squatters means the people who lives illegally in others' property. So they were squatters and they were living illegally there. The pickers had been living there illegally in Simapuri for the last 30 years. They had occupied an area without government permission or ownership. The politicians of the area have provided them ration cards and voter identity cards. They got grocery for their family through these ration cards, and in return, they cast their votes in favor of the politician who had helped them to get these identity cards or ration cards. The writer asked a group of women who were wearing torn saris that why did they leave their homes in Dhaka? They replied that if they were able to satisfy the hunger of their family and sleep well at night without stomach ache, they were happier to live in Simapuri than their fields in Dhaka, where there were ruined houses and ruined fields and no food for them. That's it for this video. In the next video, I will explain the next paragraph of this lesson. Till then, thank you. Goodbye.